everyone. Welcome back to Everything and Nothing. Another episode, another conversation, another sharing, another moment in time. Okay, today, there's something I've been noticing. There's something that I've been noticing lately, but I've also noticed it a few years ago. And I wanted to talk about it in a way that invites reflection, not judgment. And this is all about safe spaces, and that, safe spaces are important. We need them as humans. We all want spaces where we can be ourselves, where we can feel seen, heard, and supported. However, not all spaces that say are safe actually are. I've been learning just from experience, and I've been seeing that not every space that calls itself safe space truly is safe. I've seen spaces that speak about psychological safety and quickly tend to shut down honest conversations. It's all safe until it's a truth or a fact or a behavior or a pattern that's been seen. And if someone brings it up, suddenly we don't talk about that. I've actually have sat in a session in a what was called a circle where it was made very clear that only certain people could speak, the rest of us couldn't, which I found interesting. I've seen spaces that speak about healing, but actually operate from control. And a control that is satisfying to the people or to a few within the space. I've seen spaces in the professional setting, because I'm talking about all spaces, not just healing and spaces of spirituality. I'm talking about just spaces in general, because what I've noticed is I have seen spaces in the workplace where it was designed to be a space where people could come out and express and share ideas and share suggestions. And they're not really supported. And I've also noticed or seen places where one person controls the whole narrative and the whole path of a project, of a strategy, without being fully transparent with everyone else. So even though the team believes that this is a safe space, that this is a team, that this is a community, it's actually not operating from that place truly. And maybe you know some of these places. Maybe you've been around these places. Maybe you've noticed some of these places. Maybe you are right now. Maybe there's something inside of you that's telling you, I don't know, this feels a little off. This feels a little awkward. Something doesn't feel right. And it's important to become aware of those feelings and those sensations, because usually that's a part of us telling us to be careful. What tends to happen is, what I've noticed in those spaces is the people that have that control and the people that want to send the message that they are safe tend to be very charming, tend to be very friendly, very likable, very, they have a presence of steadiness, because of course they want to gain trust. And it's really challenging to then listen to that feeling that you have inside that says, mm, maybe not. Because on the outside, everything is pointing to, yeah, of course, coming in, you're welcome here. This is perfect. This is a place for you to be safe. This is a place where you can be yourself. And I've noticed how time time and time again, once the people are in there, if something's shared, I have seen it, and it's so sad. I've seen, I've observed people talking poorly about other people, making criticisms and judgments. Of course, when the people are no longer there. And those are the moments where discernment comes in. Discernment is part of self responsibility. So it's not really about blaming others and how they're behaving. It's about learning to feel and observe. It's not about judging the space. It's about asking yourself, how do I feel here? Do I really feel safe? And like I said, sometimes it can feel as if you are completely safe, but be aware of how people are reacting and feeling and how they're talking to you. And pay attention to those subtleties, because that's where the truth lives. People can behave a certain way for so long before the truth comes out, and then it's obvious. And then what tends to happen is there'll be a moment or a situation where it's all obvious and clear, and then right there, that was your evidence. That was it. That's what helped you realize, holy moly, what is this about? And I'm speaking from observations that I've made, and I'm also speaking from experience. There was a place where I genuinely thought that was it. I genuinely thought these people are it. This is amazing. They're so welcoming and so amazing, and I kept supporting and standing up for some of the members in that space. And I lost connection with two people because one of them pointed out a behavior that wasn't very mm, safe. And I remember having a conversation with this person saying, "Oh, I'm sure you misunderstand. I mean, there's no way that they would do that. There's no way that they would say that. I mean, it's not their job to do this. It's not their job to do that." And that created a moment of friction between me and this person. So the result of that was we started speaking to one another. Well, a few months down the line, I saw it, and it was right in my face, and not only did I see it, it was happening to me. Those exact same things that this person had picked up on were not just happening and I was observing them. I was actually experiencing them, and it was. I'll tell you what it felt like, so that you don't feel alone in case you've been through this before. I felt silly. I felt dumb. I felt, how did I, how did I not see this? I felt foolish that I spoke up, that I stood up for these people. And, and then I had to have compassion for myself because that whole experience was one of the most intense and one of the most, yeah, yeah, actually, as I say this, that wasn't the most intense. In the last 6 years, I have experienced that same type of safe space dynamic that wasn't really safe in three different places with three different groups of people. And each time it was clearer and clearer for what I needed to stand up for and for what I needed to honor within myself and how I needed to create boundaries and how I needed to expand on my awareness so that it wouldn't happen again. So each time that it did happen, because like I said, it was three times, three different places, three different um, groups of people, it was easier to manage it. And the last one was the most intense. It was so intense that They were they were moments where I felt attacked for something that I had said, which was the exact same thing that these other people were saying. And I couldn't understand why I was being attacked. I kept telling them, I literally said the same thing you all said. I don't know why I'm being called out when you all said the same thing. And it just didn't, I could not understand it. It would not, I could not comprehend what was going on. So again, it's not about judging the spaces or the people, it's about expanding on that awareness and reflecting on this situation that's happening. What do I want to take from it? What does that mean for me? What does that say about me? How do I feel here? Is this really a place where I feel safe? I remember in all three of the spaces I was invited to come in and have a conversation. And it was interesting to see, when I look back at the similarities of the three spaces, the thing that they all three had in common was they were inviting to have a conversation with only people from their space based on their own terms. And that just felt so unsafe because I thought, no, that invitation could have happened weeks before or months before, just one on one between me and let's call it the leader of the place. But that wasn't the case. So, safe spaces, yes, they're important. Yes, they're needed. And I want to clarify, I'm not saying that all spaces are bad, and I'm not saying that communities that call themselves safe spaces are bad. What I'm saying is there is an importance of there is an importance of awareness, having awareness, not fear. I want to make sure to clarify that. I want to invite the perspective of going into places with curiosity, not fear. And having that curiosity to observe and to take time to get to know the space, the people. And because there are incredible spaces out there, just as I had experienced those, I have also in the same time, in that time frame, I have experienced amazing spaces where people that say they're here to support you in your journey, genuinely support you in the journey, people that are there to say we're here to do this, you know, celebration or this, whatever we want to call it, they do show up. They are who they say they are. They're respectful. They have there's a clarity in how they interact with you and other people, and how they interact with their loved ones and the new people that come into the space, or the way they interacted with me. There are amazing, incredible spaces, just like at work. There are people out there, professionals, there are clients out there that are amazing and transparent and genuinely want to have an honest conversation and an honest relationship, working relationship. They genuinely want to respect scope and boundaries and have transparency when they're talking about agreements and contracts and um, contributions to the work and compensation. So there's a mix of both. So this is really about having awareness, about being aware of your space, being aware of how you feel, and trusting that feeling. And the other part is, if you have had experiences where you did trust the feeling and it felt good and it felt safe, and then down the line, bam, something happened, and then you start noticing, oh, okay, I see it now. It's really important to have that self compassion, and it's really important to then have the courage and have the bravery to say, this isn't a place for me anymore, and to walk away with that. When it's a place that it's truly safe and you realize your journey with that is complete, it'll be a clean farewell. Each one go in their own space. I have had those spaces before. When I was in England, I was part of this group. We meditated every 2 weeks. We sat down and we did amazing things together. And eventually, many of us drifted in our own way. And it was beautiful to say, goodbye. This was amazing. Thank you. Great. So it is possible to find those safe spaces where people are supported, where people are transparent, where people are genuinely safe. And when it's the opposite, it's extremely important to stay steady and to follow your intuition, your feeling. Your safety is important. And with the awareness that from the other people's perspective, they're being safe, they're having their perspective, they're respecting, it just doesn't match. It's like in a relationship. There are relationships that you go in where you both match at the beginning and it works. And then as you start moving, maybe things start shifting for one and start shifting for the other person. And then you realize you're no longer a match. And there's a nice way, because I've had experienced this before, where you can end a relationship in a good, calm way and say, hey, this isn't working. You're going that way. I'm going this way. Let's go our separate ways. So it is possible to do that. And it's the same thing with groups, works, communities, spaces. It's very possible to do that. The reminder here, it's really to follow your feeling, follow your gut, as they call it. If you don't feel safe, if something feels off, it's probably off. And if it comes to a point where you are expressing how you're feeling and the other people might be saying things such as, you're making it up, you're the only one noticing this, no one else has the same problem, it's you, then you definitely know that's it. Usually, in my experience, when there's a safe space, there's a moment where people take responsibility for what each brought into the situation. In my experience, when there's a space where one person says, hey, I don't feel safe, I have these concerns, and the other person saying, or the other people are saying, well, it's you, no one else is saying it, must be you, it's you, it's you. If you're not careful, what you tend to do is you tend to carry on all that responsibility, which is not correct and it's not safe. You want to avoid that. What you want to do is listen to yourself, as painful as it may be, stay steady. People might be wanting to convince you or get you to understand that you're wrong, that you just need to grow a little more, that you just need to heal a little more, that you just need to expand or shift a little more. When we're talking about projects and workplaces, they might say, well, you just need to adjust your expectations a little bit more. When those comments start coming up, or, well, you shouldn't feel that way, those are the moments that are really, really critical, that you stay firm and that you stay true to yourself, and that you just calmly and politely say, listen, this is how I feel. I'm going to trust that. And I'm just going to go my own way. And I'm going to be honest with you. Sometimes it's easy and you just say, I'm done. And sometimes it's hard because you develop relationships and friendships and connections with some people there that when you decide to walk away, they might just cut you out. And that can feel painful. And that's okay. Because if I have learned anything throughout this experience, is the most important relationship I have and the most important commitments I have are with myself and my safety and how I feel. With the awareness that there's perspectives and truths from different sides, and that's okay. I'm still going to choose what feels right for me. And I'm inviting you to reflect and feel about how you're feeling right now. Where in your life are you trusting words more than actions? And what would change if you started trusting what you feel instead? And one last thing, develop your awareness. When these situations come up, or if they're right in front of you right now, take a moment to develop your awareness. What does that mean for you? How is this different from when you were younger, 2 years ago, 6 months ago, 12 years ago? That's where you can see your progress and you can celebrate it. You can actually look at it from that perspective from, okay, now I see it clearer. You know, the the first time it happened, maybe it took me 3 years. The second time it only took me 1 year. The last time it only took me 2 months. Bam. And I'm not saying 2 months to see. I'm saying maybe it took you shorter time to walk away, to choose yourself from the moment you realized, oh, okay, now I see something feels off. And you start listening to that feeling. And then you make that decision, okay, I'm choosing to walk away. Okay, so I leave you with that. Be careful out there. Not all safe spaces are safe. And there are amazing places where safety is still a priority and it is lived. Take care of yourself. And yeah, as always, until next time.